right, well, since we last spoke, I have been to a half dozen towns in Wyoming, 3 or 4 places in Montana, made it up to Alaska, Ketchikan, Sitka, spent some time there, took the ferry, so we visited Juneau and Wrangell and Petersburg and Haines and Skagway and so forth. But I'm back in Salt Lake now, and I've made a big decision. Actually, a couple of decisions, and I'm gonna tell you all about them. But first of all, the first one went something like this. I have got absolutely nothing here. I don't know, man. Looks like he's bluffing to me. And that guy, he looks like he's got nothing. Well, I don't want to jinx myself, but I think I got a pretty good hand here. In fact, I think I got these guys beat. Let's see how it happens. Yeah, I'm gonna need to call the bartender over here again in a minute with this mess. Yep, I am sitting at a table full of bluffers, that's for sure. Well, you know what they say, no guts, no glory. So that's it, I've made my decision. I'm going all in. So there it is, I'm all in. I'm gonna paint this thing myself. So we can mark the calendar. As I'm recording this, I believe it's the first day of September 2022. This will be the day that we look back on sometime from now and we'll go, that was a big decision and it turned out pretty good. Or we'll look back on this day and go, man, that's when the whole project went off the rails. So we're hoping that's not what's gonna happen. But I've got some stuff in. We're gonna open up some boxes and run through that process a little bit. I'll show you what we got. And then I think it's time to turn this place into a paint shop and start getting after it. Now, there's a little bit of stuff that I can do still under the hood to get me ready, but all of that really is gonna get covered up and masked off and so forth. So I think I'm in a pretty good spot to just rip into this. So, I don't know, this ought to be exciting. Let's go see what happens. Well, the funny thing about decisions are that they can be difficult to make. You know, you go back and forth, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? But then once you do actually make the decision, then what I find is that's kind of like all the pressure's off then, and for better or for worse, you're all in. And so I'm all in, and I went to eastwood.com, which I've been to before for my primer and stuff like that. They don't sponsor me, but if they'd like to, you know the drill, guys, reach out. Anyway, here's what kind of tipped the scales in the direction of me doing this myself was their one page they have on there where they've got a video on basically how to paint your car yourself. And you know, they're just doing a panel, but they make you believe you can do it. And then they have this really helpful kind of checklist of all the stuff that you're going to need. So I ran down that checklist and brought in an order of pretty much everything that was on there that they had. Some of the stuff they didn't have was out of stock, so I ordered what I could get. So let's break some boxes open here and see what we've got. As with all this stuff, you know, it takes a while to get it once you order it, so you kind of forget what you got coming. But so we've got some sandpaper. I got 1500 grit, 1000 grit, and 2000 grit. So 1000, 1500, 2000. That was one thing that on the video the guy kept saying, don't shortcut the sanding process. You know, it's like just clear up to 2000 grit and do your homework and do the sanding. So I ordered sandpaper. This is that guide coat that I couldn't remember what the name of it was. This lids came off already, but this is the stuff that you spray over and then sand off to find your low spots and so forth. So I got a couple of cans of guide coat, and that should get me in pretty good shape. I feel like we're going to be in pretty decent shape anyway, having done all the sanding and all the body work that I did to get this running, or you know, kind of set up at this point. This is also sandpaper on a roll, and I think this is 320 grit. So this goes on the sanding kind of bar thing that I ordered, and that'll be, I presume, in one of these. So 320 grit and 400 grit. So that'll kind of do my rough stuff, and then we'll work our way up to those higher grits. And then I think this is just a collection of the mixing buckets that are all the measured out mixing buckets that you need to kind of measure your paint and your hardener together. Yep, indeed, buckets and measuring things and so forth. So that's what we'll be using to measure our paint out. So sandpaper, bucket. I think that's a heavy one. We're going to do that last. This one, not too heavy, but let's see what's in it. Okay, so there is the sanding block that I mentioned that this paper sticks on, so that you can have, you know, you're going to be covering a big long section of the body panels as you're kind of smoothing everything out. And you know what they say you do with these is you do kind of crisscross sanding. So you sand this way and then you sand that way and then that, because you're sanding such a big block surface, you're flattening everything out and you're finding all your low spots with your guide coat. I got a pair of Tyvek's coveralls, or whatever they're called, for when I am actually doing the painting. And then a couple of, I think we're now to kind of the pieces and parts that we're going to need to actually do some of the spraying. And I think this is air pressure regulator for our compressor. Yeah. So your gun is, you know, painting you're at pretty low pressure. So this will let me dial that pressure in right where I want it and have it, you know, pretty precise, as opposed to just kind of my big red knob on my compressor. I think that's important, you know, to get your spray pattern right and so forth. And then this is a 1.7 millimeter needle cap for the sprayer gun. So the actual, this is what the paint shoots out of, with obviously the little fitting in there, and this needle kind of thing controls the flow. So there we go. Those are parts for the air gun, the paint gun. And one of these boxes, I presume, is the actual gun. Here is a water separator. Now, I think this one, this component here is kind of an essential one, because whenever I'm working with the compressor, even if I'm just running an air tool with the thing, I get a lot of water out of it. You know, if you're running an impact wrench or you're running a sander or whatever, you do wind up with water in your gun and so forth. And so what this is going to do is this separates the water out of the airflow. So we're not shooting water out of the end of my gun with my paint. And so there's that. And here is the gun. So let's have a look at that, because that's the part that I'm kind of pretty interested in seeing. So this is the little bucket that you put your paint in, and kind of a cleaning kit and tool kit for doing the thing. And then this part right here is the actual gun. So there we go. There's the air gun. That's going to do the spraying, and the bucket goes on top here. we go. So not the most expensive gun they had, but I think it'll be just fine for what I'm going to be doing here. And looking forward to getting that working and kind of understanding what it takes to spray some paint that way. See what else we got in here. This is a little stand that you set your gun in while you put your filter in there and pour the paint into the bucket, into the cup, you know, so you don't need 12 hands to do that job. And I believe this is like medium micron. These I think are the filters. Yeah, these are my paint filters that you dump the paint through to clean get all the gobs out. Now, they only had this in a big box, so I just bought the big box. There's quite a few of these in here. I don't see the count anywhere, but I'm not going to run out of filters anytime soon. And one last box in here. Oh, I bought one of their little wire strippers. That's not related to the painting. That's related to the electrical work I've been doing. You know, that's just basically one of those little kind of a little bit more positive wire strippers where you kind of stick your wire straight in the end and strip it off, strip the insulation. So there's that. And then, oh yeah, for when I travel in my new career as a Jeep painter, it's important to have your paint gun in a nice case. I bought the case, all right? I mean, I'm spending a fair chunk of change on all this stuff, so I wanted to be able to put the gun away and not have it just rattling around in the cupboard with the circular saw and the sander and everything else that's in all my cupboards. And then this heavy box, I believe, will be our paint and our actual material, that is the color that we've got for this thing. So, let's see what we got here. So, indeed, we have the urethane activator. I did the medium speed one. The way that they display this stuff on the Eastwood site is based on kind of the temperature ranges that you expect to be spraying at. So if it's really hot, then I think you're getting kind of the lowest speed activator, so it gives you time to get your paint laid down before it cures. And then, you know, as you go down, the temperature goes down that you expect to be spraying at, you go with maybe a faster activator. So I got the medium, and it looks like it's the same stuff for both the clear coat and the color coat. The color that I went for is called Bonneville Black Cherry. So it's kind of a dark maroon metallic, and I'm just going to open it up here. I don't think we're going to be able to see a color of it here, but I think it's going to look pretty good. So let's just see if we get anything in here that kind of represents the color. Maybe we'll get a swatch. Nope, just the can of mixer, so, or the base coat. So this is the base coat, and then, you know, you mix it with you mix some of the base coat with some of the activator, and then you spray it, and it activates and so forth, and then off we go. And then I did, because this is a base coat, then you also do a clear coat over the top of it. So that's what this is the clear coat. So the only thing that they did not have was, you know, kind of the wipes to really wipe the paint down in between coats, or in between sanding and spraying and so forth. They were out of stock of those, so I'll look for those probably locally in a paint supply store or whatever. But quite a haul here. I just finished cleaning the garage, so now I've got to kind of situate all this stuff so I can put it away for now so I can get the car back in here for a couple days. But this is going to be exciting. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to empty the Jeep out and get it kind of masked off for good so it can stay covered for some period of time over the tires and the frame and, you know, the inside of the tub, the stuff that I'm not going to paint, and the engine obviously. And then I'll get it over here in the middle of the garage, and I'll probably put up some sort of, maybe I'll just string a rope across the back here and hang some plastic down just to keep my tool bench and all that from getting covered with overspray. I might even go down the sides with maybe, you know, some just, again, probably just some ropes. I have ropes, a couple of ropes, and let's hang some plastic up to kind of build me a little paint booth here, and then off we'll go. So I'm fairly excited about this process. You know, it'll be a learning experience for me, and I'll be able to kind of get my feet wet by maybe starting with the tailgate or something like that, you know, but I'm not going to go crazy here and try to do this all in one fell swoop, but I am going to go kind of try to get this process nailed down and figure out what I'm doing and do a good job of this thing. So I will bring you along as always. So if you are not subscribed, now might be a good time, because you're going to follow me as I go on this journey of learning to be a vehicle painter. I've never done this before. Now I've painted stuff, but not a ton of work with spray guns. I have a spray gun that you can do house paint with. That went okay, but this will be a learning experience for me. So I'll bring you with me each step of the way. For now, we're going to leave it here, and I'm going to kind of figure out what are the next steps. I believe the next step is I still got a little cleaning and emptying the Jeep out. I'm probably going to, I emptied out a couple of my camping containers. I built some stuff in the truck to store my camping stuff a little better. So I've got some of my totes, and I think what I'll do is I'll take a lot of this stuff that's kind of been rattling around in the back of the Jeep, and I'll put it in one of those totes and throw it in the house so I can get it out of the way. And then I'll look at getting me some plastic from just down at Home Depot and so forth, and get ready to start kind of tearing into this. And I'm really interested to see how this guide coat works and how things look once I do get the guide coat on there and do a little sanding. It'll be interesting to see how well my first pass of this did without a guide coat, with me just, you know, eyeballing and using my old drywall finisher skills to shine a light down the body panel and so forth. And remember, when I started with this reproduction tub, I was pretty unhappy with all the spot weld marks, and you know, there was high points and low points, and it looked like it had been built over in the Philippines or someplace like that without too much attention to detail. So if you recall, I put a fair amount of effort into trying to get all that kind of sorted out. It's been a while now, and it's gotten dirty, and so it'll be good to kind of sand off some of that. It'll just take, you know, what I'm expecting is I have that polyurethane primer on there, so I'm expecting not to take a ton of that off. I'm just going to take it down as needed to make sure that that everything's good. I'll start with some of my higher grit stuff and work my way up to the 2000 grit and really put a good finish on it. So yeah, this ought to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So I got to reorganize here a little bit, and I'm not going to start today, but I'm going to gather up a couple of my last little supplies and make sure I'm ready to go, and then start to tear into this.